Everybody got to make a sacrifice, no matter what they want to do in life. We all have a true destiny that we want to reach one day. And sometimes you guys like to hold on to things and try to see if maybe if you hold on to this thing that one day you'll overcome whatever that situation is and be able to do what you are trying to do. But sometimes we gotta sit down and really analyze what we have at hand. Sometimes we gotta sit back and look at our cards. Because if we don't have the right cards, then why are we putting them in the game? So sometimes you guys have to sacrifice everything. You have to sacrifice everything to get something. And it's okay to sacrifice. Everybody made sacrifices. You know me? As you guys know, I moved out a couple months ago, but my whole thing was to move here. I got to California. And I'm not going to lie, I was real afraid. I was very afraid of coming out here because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was in place for me. But I took that step. And I'm proud that I took the step because ever since I took that step on October 24th, I never looked back. October 24th, 2022, I never looked back. You know, and it was stepping stones to, get here. Like, it was stepping stones. I just didn't get here just because, all of this was put in place. And I really got to thank God because, without him, I don't know where I'll be right now, for real. Let me be a testimony. I had always dreamed of, going to California. It was one of my biggest dreams. And I started this journey in 2021, I think. Can't remember when COVID was, but COVID was when I made my first ever sacrifice. At the time, I was in college. I was, I had just gotten back from school. And at the time, I was with my son's mom. She ended up, staying with us because they was shutting down all the flights and everything to California. So, she came with us. And I remember me and my parents, we fell out. It was some tough love. It was understanding. Now that I'm older, now that I've grown mature, now that I'm a parent, at that place and at that time, there was real concern because, I'm their son, I'm their child. And, a lot of times that we want the best for our kids, no matter what that is. And if we can try to, stop a disaster or anything coming up like a shortcoming, us as parents, we are protectors. Like, we step in, like, hey, that right there, this is what's gonna happen if you do this. This is what's gonna happen. You learn that through wisdom. And I was real adamant about chasing my dreams. And one of my passions, I would say, is music. I remember I remember how I fell in love with music. I remember the late nights that I had with music, and I remember all the sacrifices that I made. I wasn't going to class. I wasn't trying to hang with no one. I was so focused on music that, I knew that this is what I had to do in order to get to this place or, however it went. And I ended up, getting into it with my parents. I pretty much had a plan to move to Atlanta. I was going to end up working, or I was trying to work with, a audio engineer. I can't remember the guy's name. I know he went to my school, but pretty much, man, I was so focused on that. And what I had done is I had set in place that, I was going to start going to the studio, getting around these people, because I wanted to be an audio engineer. And I caught myself working and working and working on just listening to sound. And it took a lot of time. It took a lot of, missing out on things. So, like I said, me and my parents was going through it. And, they wasn't really digging the dream that I was seeing. And so my first ever sacrifice ever was moving out of my parents' house and moving to Atlanta for the first time. That's pretty much when my entire life changed, honestly. I remember sending them a message, letting them know that, I love them and, I appreciate them, but I'm doing this for myself. And so, I ended up moving out to Atlanta. I was doing school, I was doing work full time. I'm doing both of these things full time. And, I don't know how I done it, I really don't know how I done it. I squeezed in, I did this. Because now when I think about it, like when you think about how do you do these things and, everything just seems to fall into place. Don't know how it's going to fall into place, but it seems to work itself out. And, I had ended up doing school and I was working and I got all the way to my senior year. Finally, my son's mom was pregnant with him. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very scared because at that point in my mind, what I was thinking was, I now have to make another sacrifice. And I didn't know what that sacrifice was. I just knew that I had to make a sacrifice for the best for my family, no matter what that was. And so I ended up, my son came and everything was different. I wasn't really, because, I'm a family guy. I love my family. I love to, I love who loves me. And, me, I felt like I had to put my time aside. I had to put everything aside for my son. And, through that process, I lost myself. A lot of things started going on. And I was just trying to figure out what was going on because I was still thinking about how am I going to graduate school as well. And I got all this going on. So, ended up moving to another apartment. And at this time, my son ended up coming and I was still in school, had a kid, working full time, and his mom was going through things as well. It was a lot, bro. It was a lot. As a man, I had to learn that, I had to let go of certain stuff that I enjoyed because now I'm put in a place where I have to take care of my family. And I think that all men, I'm not gonna say all men, but I'm thinking most men, they want to do that for the family. So they're willing to go to stakes of sacrificing everything to make sure that their family is okay by all means necessary. So my son came, I still was trying to figure everything out. Ended up graduating school, ended up quitting my actual job, my job, and I started working at another job. the money wasn't coming in right. And at that point, you know, I was talking to my son's mom, and, you know, she brought up something. She was like, hey, let's move to California. And I'm not gonna lie, like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, right now, like, nah. And me moving across the entire country was just out of the conversation for real. And so I'm not gonna lie, I feared. But looking at it, my dream and my ultimate goal was to get here. And I think that God, you know, God did his timing. I wanted to go later on. He was like, nah, let's go right now. You feel me? And so I started calling a lot of people to figure out, like, should I do this? Should I do that? Like, what's going on? You know, me and my parents, we kind of got into it and everything. And so at that point, you know, I felt like I had to make something. I had to change something. I had to do something different for my life. And so I made a decision to come out to California. I moved out to California, jumped right into, you know, working. Ended up not doing a job and then getting another job as security. I was working for about 8 months being security, something that I wasn't even, I never thought I would even do security, you feel me? And pretty much after that, you know, I ended up getting a Verizon job, thanks to her, you know, her dad. And at that point, I felt that it was I feel like, and I'm working it now, but I feel like it's a solid career, you know? It's a solid career, but for me, I felt like I want more. And I know now that, you know, looking at everything, what I want is my dream, and that's to be an audio engineer. And so now I have to figure out what am I gonna sacrifice to get to that. I have to get to that. I've looked at this point and saw that God has blessed me on all aspects, on all corners, and has put me in the place that I needed to be when I needed to be it. So now I'm trying to figure out what sacrifices I'm making to get to my goal. I know that I'm gonna get to my goal. I'm going to get my goal somehow, some way. And I got other goals too as well. So I know I'm going to get to those goals as well. But, you know, I'm figuring out what am I sacrificing to get to that, because I just can't rely on you know, God to, you know, bless me if I'm not putting in the work as well. And so I'm making sacrifices right now. I'm busting my tail, working my job, trying to save money right now, trying to get, you know, myself an actual apartment. And, you know, a lot of times when I think of my life, and I have like these certain moments where I could be like in this space. Like, let's say if I go to a fancy restaurant, and for a moment I think like, you know, I feel like I'm supposed to be here. And I supposed to feel like, oh, this is just regular. Like, this is what I work for, you know? Even when I go to like huge houses, or I see these experiences that, you know, people that go through, and, you know, I'm just thinking to myself, like, I'm going to get to that. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it. So I made many sacrifices in my life. And the main part is getting over the fear and just saying, fuck it, and diving head in and not worried about dying. Just learn how to float. Just learn how to float. And all of your problems will solve itself. Make the sacrifice and just follow what God is putting in place for you. Read the signs. Know what it is that he's telling you. Like, hey, you need to be doing this. Hey, you need to be doing that. Just follow him. Make the sacrifice now. so you won't have to regret later.